Good evening, I'm John Yang. What comes next in Syria now that the Assad regime is history was the topic at a meeting in Jordan today of top officials from the region, from the European Union, and from the United States. Secretary of State Antony Blinken outlined some of the principles they discussed.
The rights of all Syrians, including minorities and women, should be respected. Humanitarian aid should be able to reach people who need it. State institutions should deliver essential services to the Syrian people. Syria should not be used as a base for terrorist groups or others who threaten Syria's people, its neighbors, or the world.
Under the Assad regime, hundreds of thousands of Syrians were swept up by the security apparatus, never to be seen again. Simona Foltine gained access to one of the intelligence branches that orchestrated that brutal repression. She tells us what she found.
The search for the disappeared continues in Damascus. At the Palestine branch of Assad's feared intelligence services, relatives pore over stacks of notebooks, sift through piles of passports taken from prisoners, in hope of finding a trace of their loved ones. Ibrahim and Hussein are each looking for their brothers who've been missing for years. They don't know for sure if they passed through this particular prison. They're flipping through a registry where guards recorded every new arrival.
Everyone who entered, their name is here. The date is here. What they confiscated, which day, what time.
The Palestine branch was one of several security agencies that enforced Assad's tyrannical rule. Each had its own prison, where people were disappeared, tortured, and killed.
The way it happened, they rotated them through 4 to 5 different branches, and each branch did their own investigation as they pleased.
This is the second prison facility Ibrahim and Hussein have been to. With each day, the hope of finding their brothers alive fades away.
God is generous. We don't know if we'll find them, but God is generous. They say that the cars took away the prisoners where we don't know where. They took them away Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, just before the liberation.
Knowing the truth at least would provide some closure. The one thing they do know is that justice must be served.
The person who used to run this branch, where is he today? Where did he go? He's here, in this country. No matter who he was, the responsible authorities have to be brought to account for what they did to the people.
Every judge, officer, deputy officer, guard, anyone responsible must be brought to account.
Everyone who was loyal to them is one of them, whether he was the guard at the door or the head of the prison.
Assad's government kept meticulous records of its own crimes. That includes the names of his henchmen. The rebels' offensive took them by surprise, and there was no time to destroy incriminating evidence. In the main building, we found a register of rotations of officers who worked at this branch. What this book contains are the names of all the officers who worked here, who might be responsible for some of the crimes that have been committed here. So this is a really crucial piece of evidence. The problem is there doesn't appear to be a process to safeguard these documents, which will inevitably be really important for any future justice and accountability process. The rebels are now guarding the compound. Ahmed al-Shibli was imprisoned for months inside Palestine branch before joining the armed opposition. This was the first time he returned.
The cells are underground. We can go down there. I am shaking. Every time I remember this place.
We proceed downstairs into the darkness where the prisoners were held.
There would be 50, 60 people here in this cell. When they entered the cell, I'll show you how it was. Whenever they opened this window,
Ahmed shows us the position he was forced to take when the guards entered.
if you don't stand like this, they'd start beating you with electric rods. It shocks your brain, your heart, every part of your body. So immediately, you have to put your head against the wall. You are not allowed to look. Whoever looks will be taken out. This means he could spend a day, 2 days, or 3 days under torture.
Ahmed was a former officer in the Syrian army. He was arrested on suspicion of being sympathetic to the opposition alongside 9 others. Only 3 got out alive.
I thought I saw death in front of my eyes. We didn't have hope we'd see the light again. When I got out and saw the sun, I thought I had been reborn.
Amid calls for justice, there's also a yearning for revenge.
In my opinion, we should put those who imprisoned us in the same conditions, so that they live through the same suffering, so that they know God is just.
The new government has yet to announce how it will deal with the perpetrators and what will happen to these prisons, the sites of so much injustice and pain. For the relatives of those missing, there are more questions than answers. And one of the main questions that remains is how many people exactly disappeared into Assad's prisons. The United Nations estimates that number at above 100,000, a figure that may rise now that we have access to these institutions as well as the documents that have been found there. John?
Simona, in your piece, which was very compelling, you talked about a future justice and accountability process. Does anyone have any idea what that's going to look like?
Well, we don't know much yet, and one of the main questions is who exactly will be brought to account? Will it only be the high-ranking officers who issued the orders, or will a future justice and accountability process also include lower-ranking officers and foot soldiers, which is certainly what some of the relatives that we spoke to were demanding. The sheer undertaking of this is immense. Let's remember, John, that in Assad Syria, there were more than a dozen different security and intelligence institutions which employed thousands of people. We don't know where these people are at the moment. The institutions have been dismantled. Presumably, they're in hiding. So it remains to be seen whether we're going to start seeing mass arrests in the coming days and weeks, or whether it will be more of a targeted and selective process.
Simona, it's just been a week since we saw pictures of Syrians celebrating the fall of the regime. Now, 1 week on, how are they feeling?
Well, here in the capital, Damascus, we have seen a mix of joy and cautious optimism. Syrians are certainly happy that Bashar al-Assad is gone. They feel reassured by the statements that have been coming out from Abu Muhammad al-Julani, the rebel leader turned new ruler of Syria, who has been reassuring Syrians that the new government will be an inclusive one and that there will be coexistence between Syria's different sects. Now, according to the constitution, there should be elections within 90 days of the presidential post becoming vacant, and we haven't heard any announcements with regard to that. So while Syrians are very excited and they're certainly keen to play a role in rebuilding the new Syria, there is a question whether they will be given the space to do so, or whether we will transition to a new, perhaps softer form of authoritarian rule.
Simona Foltine in Damascus, Syria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.